while since you felt like this. Been a while since you felt like this. Been a while since you felt like this. There must be something wrong. I guess I felt.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Gdansk, Poland. Week number 5, the final day of competition here. The free dance coming up. Mark Hanratty will be joining us from his home studio in Nottingham. Now, after the rhythm dance, Wolfkostin and Tsarevski from the United States lead, but right behind them, 3 teams from Canada, Italy, and France all will battle for the podium. There's just 1 point separating those 3 teams. 18 teams, 14 nations. The free dance begins right now. Welcome, everyone, to the final day of competition here in Gdansk as we fly over a canal in the old part. Such a beautiful city. And there is the Olivia Arena, the host of many Junior Grand Prix over the seasons. I'm Ted Barton, Mark Hanratty, joining us from his studio in Nottingham. Welcome, Mark, to the final day.
Hi Ted, I am really looking forward to today, although I must admit, weirdly, before this event starts, I was just thinking, I'm not nervous. Normally I'm always a little bit on edge, a little bit anxious, and I'm feeling remarkably calm.
Well, that's not actually good, because you got to have some nerves. There's the look at the officials for this event on this final day, the technical panel as well, a super group of people. We stayed at the same hotel, had wonderful conversations with these people. It's just amazing the commitment they make to the sport as well. We forget about them. We don't see them very often, but we can't do it without them. As we take a look at the start order for the free dance, and this is going to be interesting. We talked about the podium being wide open, Mark, and it really is.
Yeah, and I'm so excited to see the likes of the Sofia Dovhal and Viktor Kulesza, the Polish team, making it into the top group. That's a wonderful achievement for them, and hopefully that'll get, as we see their names crop up as the 14th teams take to the ice, hopefully that participation for them in the final group will make a really exciting atmosphere in the arena.
Now, just a reminder, we will be having Sarah Hurtado joining us for the final 2 groups, and that'll be exciting, Mark. I know I'll be on the air, but I'm gonna step aside as you guys, I know that you will have lots of questions and hopefully some good input from Sarah as well as we watch the top 2 groups close out this event.
And Sarah's an amazing story insofar as so often throughout the Junior Grand Prix we will reference the different skating nations and the different exposures that the athletes from the differing countries have, and the consequential challenges that some may have because less opportunity. Sarah, she and Adria Diaz asked the Federation for support to be ice dancers, and then the Spanish Federation hired a coach to come and teach them ice dance, and now Sarah went on, she won a Grand Prix senior medal, she's an Olympian, she was top 5 in Europe, and now she is educating the next generation of Spanish dancers in Spain. So not just a brilliant athlete and a great coach, but an amazing story for inspiring other skaters, especially perhaps those that come from not the big powerhouse skating nations, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we thank Sarah for joining us. We do all the guest commentators. Of course, we had Jason Brown to begin with, Caitlin Osmond, 2018 world champion. We had Kathy Reed, a famous Olympian and a world competitor herself from Japan. We also had Kirsten Moore Towers join us for pairs in Turkey. all these places, trying to remember it all. But of course, Sarah will join us as well. And then I believe we have Madsen and Evan joining us for next week, and that will be exciting.
Yeah, it's so exciting. And actually, as we look at the first team to take to the ice, Hilda and Alexander, I did, after yesterday's event, even though we had watched so much skating, I did, in fact it was this morning, I listened back to the interview with Catalina that I conducted, and it was definitely evident that my love for these elite skaters is clear. I fanboyed over her, and I'm sure I'll fanboy over Madsen and Evan again as well.
Oh my gosh, you're going to be going in for autographs or something here. So
yeah.
And you're quite the star yourself. You can't get around the grocery store without people, recognize you. Of course, you're on dancing on ice in England. This is your 11th season, did you say?
The next season will be the 12th. So yeah, so I've been doing that a fair while, but whilst I'm very, very lucky to have lots of exciting skating opportunities and incredibly blessed to still be able to perform a little bit, the requirements and remits of my performances don't match the physical challenges that the skaters who have a 3.5 minute free dance today will have to push themselves through.
Yeah, but you do point your toe rather nicely, so that's good. And you also have a young family. Of course, your son is involved in hockey, so that's kind of cool too. And that's one of the reasons that you're, at home in the studio. We thank you so much for the time that you commit to this broadcast. It's been a great joy in my experience. I had to do many years on my own, and so much more. It's so much fun having somebody to chat with and to have fun with. So thank you for your time and participation in this event, and not just this event, but in Junior Grand Prix.
Well, and it's an absolute honor and a privilege, and I'm glad that we're talking about it, Ted, because we are so blessed. Even though, yesterday, and not so much today because it's a shorter day, the listeners might hear us referencing the length of the day, but despite the length of the day, I am very mindful of what a joy it is to be
I think I mentioned that as a badge of honor, that we want to cover all these skaters, no matter what the level of stage they are. And 12 hours, we're not running. We're not lifting stones. I mean, we're talking about something we love. So it's really not that hard. So,
maybe we mention it so that it gives us the kind of caveat for when we come out with gobbledygook that nobody can understand.
There you go. Woe is me. But, we're good. Okay, here we go, Mark. Final day of competition here in Gdansk, week number 5. Next week, Ljubljana. Then Wuji, China. That'll close out this season. But we still have much more to come. Take it away.
And the first team to compete in the free dance, Hilda Taylor and Alexander Buchholdt, representing Finland. And Alexander, on Monday before they left their training base, had a 40-degree temperature, and he's been really struggling, not feeling well, but starting to feel a little more like himself. And we wish both he and Hilda all the very best over the course of their 3.5 minute free dance. Well, congratulations to Hilda Taylor and Alexander Buchholdt in completing their free dance, and you can see both feeling the burn at the end of the free dance, so physically exhausting, but made all the more challenging when the skaters have been struggling with illness preceding the event, not just in being able to get through, but also because knowing how ill they have been, they will have had hampered preparation, so haven't been able to do the entries that they would have.
Yeah, you know, and interesting, as hard as this experience is, it's also a good one to go through to perform under less than optimal circumstances. As we take a look at the Twizzles here, and they come in at level 4 for both partners, with a plus GOE, by the way. And, you know, it's not easy to skate when you're sick, but it's one of the things you probably need to experience because you don't want to work so hard in your lifetime, get to a championship round and feel sick and you've never done it before. So good on them to get out here and compete on this day.
That's so true, and then they will chalk this down to a memory that should they ever find themselves in the same situation will know that they have, as they have just showcased, get through. As we see part of the circular step sequence, that their choice of pattern, and here you can see the foxtrot hold within the step sequence in the free dance. Different holds have to be showcased. Here, the camel spin position for Alexander, that feature they're going for, and now the teams, if they're going for level 4, have to showcase 4 different difficult positions from 3 different groups. So we saw the sit from the sit group and the layback from the upright group. And here, I remember being impressed by this in their first Junior Grand Prix, the curve lift position, and choosing to do a combination of curve and rotational. The junior teams have the choice of either 2 short lifts or a combination, and Hilda and Alexander choosing the latter.
And Mark, just a question, how long can that combo lift be, just for fats?
Oh gosh, now there are so many opportunities for the teams with the choices, and so there's no time restriction. Sorry, for the combo lift. Sorry, I thought I was talking about the spin. The combo lift, that this time has been lengthened in its time. So previously it was 7 seconds for a short lift. Now they can have up to 8 seconds, and I think it's 13 seconds total for the. I'll double check that for the combo lift. The Ice Dance Technical Committee have lengthened the amount of time that the teams have available to them to try to put in the features that they want for the higher level, and I think that's great because it offers the teams more opportunity to play with creativity rather than just simply getting what needs to tick a box for the level because the time restraints are upon them.
Yeah, you can see this team struggling, Hilda and Alexander, just a little bit in the kiss and cry, having felt ill and getting through this experience, or as they sort of get their energy back, they'll take a review of what they just did. And 61.58 is their score for the free dance, with a total competition score of 102.99. They are the first team out in this event.
Alexander Buchholdt from Finland have earned in total 102.99 points.
And now to the British team of Molly Hairsine and Alessio Surenkov Gulchev. This team struggled in the rhythm dance. Molly unfortunately took a fall in the Twizzles, which was hugely costly to their total score yesterday. But Twizzles look good in warm-up today, and we wish them all the best for their free dance.
Told you not to worry, but maybe that's a lie. Honey, what's your hurry? Won't you stay inside? are still the same along with me. But she won't sing the song if she reads all the things we should pity the men I know. So you're a tough guy, like you're really rough guy. Just can't get enough guy, just always a love guy. I'm that bad type, make your mama sad type, make your girlfriend mad type, Mercedes your dad type. I'm a bad guy.
Well, much better for Molly Hairsine and Alessio Surenkov-Gulchev representing Great Britain, and just relief, I'm sure, as you see Molly exhale to have safely got through this performance. And interesting to hear from you, Ted, that you thought, despite the mistakes in the rhythm dance, you agreed that you saw the improvements, but mistakes are costly in this discipline.
Yeah, for sure. I see a maturity in this team. There's no question from the years that we've seen them beforehand. But it's interesting with this. You see the maturity here, but this is a very harsh is not the right word, intense voice and intense music. And that probably requires a little bit more of, I want to say acting in the face, the facial expressions, and with the choreography as well. So, big improvement, much more to come.
Yeah, and it's a good point, and what I can testify is that, Molly and Alessio are such lovely, lovely people, and perhaps the harder to method act when you're just such nice people to escape something with such fervent intensity. As we see the curve lift.
That was lovely.
Yeah.
Just a 3 though, missing one feature.
And here, working through the step sequence, so here the open Killian hold. So the teams, as I say, have to work through the different dance holds. So we'll see Foxtrot, Killian and Waltz holds. And here, this team choosing to do 2 short lifts. So they had the curve lift previously, the rotation lift here, and Alessio confidently showcasing the feature of the 1-foot rotation.
Mark, I just want to say,
sorry, go for it.
No, I just want to say that a lot of skaters now are using not only dancers but the singles as well, using the boards right in the judges' zone, right in their personal space. And I wonder how the judges feel about that. We should actually ask them sometime.
Katarina Muller is joining them as they work with Katarina and Matteo, Zani and Barbara. Good to see the connection, the camaraderie between the team. They competed at the Junior World Championships at the end of last season and hoping to do the same again at the end of this upcoming season. And interesting, Ted, both, as I've said, Alessio is studying, is incredibly academic and gifted, and Molly, she inked one of her dad's comic pages and actually got it published in an issue with her name on the credits on the back. And so both, fascinating individuals in their own right, on and off the ice.
Wow, that's awesome. That's
really cool.
Yeah, good information. And that's the funny thing about the sport. And Mark, thank you for all the research that you're doing, because we're learning a little bit about the person. We see the skater, we enjoy the skating, but what's the background and what are their interests? And I think those are really good information for people to get engaged with people and actually want to follow, regardless of the success, they want to follow the person and their journey because of their interests. So thank you for that.
Well, and knowing the people, as I do, obviously invested in them and wanted the best for them and their families. And I know that the parents at home right now, I can imagine Maria and Trev, Molly's mom and dad, right now at home watching with bated breath. They can breathe a sigh of relief now, as can Alessio's parents.
Absolutely. Good job. Let's take a look at the scores for the free dance. It's 71.35. That is first early on in the competition. Total competition score of 115.22. And Molly and Alessio will currently be in first place for the moment.
Molly and Alessio from Great Britain have earned in total 115.22 points. They are currently in first place. A my powitajmy reprezentantów Szwajcarii. Please welcome our next couple from Switzerland.
And now to Alexandra Levy and Anna Llorente. And this team in the rhythm dance, I scribbled down some notes in the kiss and cry and just to acknowledge the great teamwork energy that they had, particularly after the performance, and hopefully we'll be treated to more of that camaraderie in 3.5 minutes time. Alexandra Levy and Llorente in their first season as juniors and, of course, their first junior Grand Prix and skating safely through their free dance performance.
Yeah, much stronger performance than the rhythm dance, although that was good as well for the stage of development that they're currently at. But this was more dramatic, more connected, and you can see thumbs up by Alexandra coming off the ice, pleased with that performance. That means everything when you've done what you wanted to do and what you've trained to do. As we take a look at some of the elements here, Mark.
And here they jump their Group C entry into the synchronized twizzles. And they're the leg feature and arm feature. Those are levels. Oh yeah, see the transition as they exit And here, opportunity to look through the step sequence. So here, Alain back inside counter, eagle-eyed viewers and particularly those familiar with the sport will be just seeing how constant and clear the edges are. I thought the chalk to there better back counter for Alexandra, but each of these difficult turns has to showcase such consistency on the curve as we see what I think was their best element, the straight line lift into rotational. And here going for change of pose is to showcase two clear pictures, and then that Ina bar and this hop, that another level. And now part of the choreographic element, the choreographic character step sequence. The juniors have two choreographic elements. Many of them will be using the choreo character step, that the, I think, best option for them to push some of the presentation and the components as well.
Great job. Nicely done.
Yeah.
For their first time on the Junior Grand Prix, it's awesome. They sort of get introduced to this international competition and, you know, prestigious series, the Junior Grand Prix. And they'll take stock of where they're at and look what they need to do next steps. Sorry, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, no, completely, and I know that Coach Cedric Bernier and Katja Leninger are really keen to push their teams to more success on this stage.
Well, 71.51 for Alexandra and Alan, and that is first in the free dance with a total competition score of 115.99. There you go, they take over the lead. At least at this stage of the competition, you can see Alexandra going, wow, that's awesome. Great introduction to the world of Junior Grand Prix.
And now to the Estonian team, Xenia Sipunova and Miron Korjagin. And this team competed at the World Junior Championships last season, and their performance there was 10 points lower than their rhythm dance score yesterday, so showcasing hard work in the off-season to come to the Junior Grand Prix season with big improvements. Estonia's Xenia Sipunova and Miron Korjagin. And I had wondered, Ted, whether or not the huge advancement in their rhythm dance score was perhaps an indication of a bad skate at the World Junior Championships. But last year in the Junior Grand Prix, their rhythm dance was, their free dance was a 43-point score, and this will be way in advance of that. So Xenia, Miron, and coaches Leah and Tavi Rand have obviously worked incredibly hard over the off-season.
Well, as they all have to if they want to make progress.
And I love that they really embrace this matrix theme. The straight line lift, the 1 foot exit, a feature for Miron. And that jump entry into the twizzles, catch and the hand above the head. 3 of the features. And the first and second twizzle must take from different edges, but you can see here what the technical panel will reference as checked turns. So when there's a little break in the rotation, that will lower the level. Here, a choreographic hydroglide move. There are 7 different types of choreographic elements to choose from. Not as often that we see a choreographic hydroglide move, and that was done brilliantly. And here, great example of different choices of hold. As we'll talk about in the basics of figure skating, the comparison between the dancers and the pairs, so much of the intricacy in hold is often what will separate the aesthetic of the dancers to the pair skaters. And I actually thought this team, both there and in the choreo character step sequence, had some great examples of that. And that choreo character said, "Oh, Ted, you got it. This is what I wanted to show, all these differences in the hold." That's so intricate, detailed, and difficult.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, I read your mind. Even like thousands of miles away.
Yeah.
Well, what do you question? With these early teams, how do you really tell the difference? Because they're all a little weaker skating skills. I didn't say weak, but less than perhaps the final groups, of course. And so, what makes the difference between one team and the other for the judges?
And so much of it, as we saw with Kaoruko Wada in the women's free skate yesterday, I mentioned the skating skills, just the way in which the skater fundamentally strokes, and when they push with 1 foot, the judges will be so attuned to the way in which they do that to differentiate them all.
Okay, 67.71, that is 3rd in the free dance for Xenia and Miron, and the total competition score, be looking for that number, 114.69, and that will also, for the moment at least, put them into 3rd place. So not the placement and the numbers they were looking for, and they looked relatively happy coming off the ice, but a little bit disappointed with the numbers. You can see how close it is, 115.99 and 115.22. Very close.
The following couples may now take the ice for a 5-minute
Group
warm-up.
number 2 coming on the ice for their 5-minute warm-up. And there is a look at group number 2 in the skate order. Now, Mark, I want to go back to yesterday and ask you, because we never really had time to talk about this, is Mao Shimada's free program. How brilliant. I mean, that was a 224. That was the highest women's short program, or free program, in total in Junior Grand Prix. Not the Junior World, so it was one higher score, but it was not only a high score and all the jumps that we know she can do, quad and the triple axel, but the emotion. And I had a chance to speak with Mia Hamada, her coach, while we're waiting for the to do an interview at the end. And Mia said to me in her English, she said, "Sorry, your English is really good compared to my Japanese." So, and she said they have been working very hard on the facial expression, and that the emotion came not only through the arms and through the upper body and through the legs and everything, but came through the face as well. And of course, she wanted people to know about the story. And I said, Mark talked about the story of Mao's program, which was spectacular. So they have thought this to every single detail and want to make sure that people can appreciate the traditional dance, the traditional movements of the Japanese that have been integrated into this incredible program, and of course all designed by Lori Nichols. So I just wanted you to know that there's been a design for a whole year to keep her going and growing, which we obviously saw.
Yeah, and what I think was particularly impressive there for that athlete was, obviously she has such wonderful influences. Her coach has cultivated such great fundamentals technically, both in the components and the technical score. And we know that Laurie Nicol is a master crafts person, and one of the best in her field. And so of course those influences are going to make a big difference, but sometimes it's very challenging to get somebody, as we talked about in the broadcast, an introvert to emote sufficiently to force their judges to give higher presentation scores. And as we watch the ice dancers, as a generalization, the ice dancers are more extroverted, but it may be the case too that for some of them they become an ice dancer because that's what's done in their respective ice rink and that's their only choice. And for the coaches to extract emotion and facial expression, because sometimes that's a cultural thing. Some cultures are less effusive in their expression in day to day, and we see the Italians. We're surrounded by the wonderful Italians in the production team. When we see some of the Italian skaters, they're more expressive, not just in performance, but in the reaction just to kiss and cry, or it's the performance itself.
Yeah, it's very true, Mark. It's very true. It could be very cultural, but the interesting thing is bringing the emotion out, like in a Shimada, might be as difficult, although we see that more, as learning the triple axel, because you're talking about the complications of a human brain and emotions and culture and all the types of things that go into that. And I think what Mia was saying is that process has started to keep her going through the juniors, and we'll see what happens in the season. But you started to see a different Mao Shimada. Not only she's always been brilliant, no problem. Sometimes she makes mistakes in the axle of the quad, but you saw a different emotional performer. And I thought it was absolutely brilliant. Probably the best, well, no, not probably, the best all-round, not technical, but all-round performance I've seen in my 11 years in the Junior Grand Prix in women.
Oh, which is incredible. And that's such a good point that you made, that emotional expression for that particular human may be just as difficult as for others. A technical feat. For some athletes, for the ice dancers, the storytelling and the emotion might be the fun bit that they want to get stuck into because they so enjoy the acting, but certain teams, different teams, but some of the athletes don't have enough of the fundamental skating skills, which weigh more importantly on their score, before then that additional layering of expression. Mao's got such a fundamental good quality to start from, a foundation of skating.
Well, off the women's now. I just wanted to mention that we sort of rubbed on there, but I think that it does apply to all these disciplines, because even for the men, perhaps in dance, the women generally is more expressive. So how do you bring that out of the man and then match that into the couple, et cetera, et cetera? So just the process of bringing a personality or acting or heartfelt, sincere emotion, that's difficult, in sometimes more difficult than learning an individual technical skill. Okay, enough. Let's move on to group number 2. Take it away, Mark.
And opening this second group in the ice dance competition in Gdansk, Lauren, Audrey, Batkova and Jacob Yang. And this free dance is a story of their recent history. The first track, Fix You, is a signal of the difficult times that they've had with the illness problems that Lauren has endured and that Jacob has been her rock. The second half, Paradise, is because competing healthy for these people is just that, paradise.
When you try your best but you don't succeed, when you get what you want but not what you need, when you feel so tired but you can't sleep, stuck in
Well, I know from the illnesses that they've endured and been vocal about that Lauren, Audrey Batkova and partner Jacob Yang have gone through a lot together as a team already, and with that in mind, I feel confident that they will be able to survive this and come out stronger. But that was a torrid fall, really painful.
Yeah.
I'm just so glad that they're as united as they are to endure that.
They were doing so well up into that fall, and that fall was complicated because she went down and he went over top of her. We'll take a look at it. We do have it on the replay, and she was not really seriously injured. We will show that, but it was a complicated fall which took them out of the program for a little bit as well. But good to know she looks okay coming off the ice.
Yes, here working through the mandatory 1-foot turns, 4 different difficult turns performed. Rocker counter bracket and twizzle. Here a stationary lift for the team, and a difficult exit of that. And just, gosh, waiting in anticipation, Ted. Here we can see the team looking confident, and I actually thought significantly more confident than in Ostrava. I'm a bit scared to see this. I actually thought if she didn't get...
Oh, the legs slipped off, yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
You know what? Seeing that, and then the way in which they then conducted themselves for the subsequent 3 elements, it just is amazing. Like here, the cardio slide, you wouldn't know. And just such testament to what what ice dance can do for a person's ability to withstand challenge, because that was a bad one.
And I think the sport does that. We're trained when you fall, and you often fall in skating, the ability and the quickness in which you get up and continue your performance. The show must go on type of thing, that mentality. And that's exactly what they did. It was extraordinary how well and how quickly they recovered and got back into the performance. Of course, they're going to be upset. Tanith is checking to see if they're okay. I mean, emotionally, they're, don't know quite what happened.
And as I said, Lauren has already taken to social media to acknowledge Jacob's support. And when she'd been ill with the vocal cord dysfunction and tough health challenges, she'd been off the ice for like 8 months out of their first year together, and she never felt fearful that Jacob would go and pick a different partner. And I think that's such a testament to obviously her as well as a great partner, but also to Jacob as a trustworthy, amazing source of support, and they're lucky to find each other.
That's a team. That is a true team. Getting through those difficult moments, and unexpected too, just in the lift. The lift looked good going over the shoulders, and then when she went to step on the leg, the blade slipped off, and that's when that came down.
And when we reference in the basics of figure skating to come the differences between the pair skating and the ice dance, and you so rightly acknowledged, Ted, that whilst ice dance may not be quite as visibly physical with the overhead lifts, the complexity of the changes of pose in the dance lifts can be just as we've seen.
It's
very dangerous.
Way harder and more dangerous than one can think. 61.27, that is 5th in the free dance with a total competition score of 109.30. They were doing extremely well up to that point. Really unfortunate mistake and great recovery, and kudos to the team for supporting each other emotionally. And they'll take a bit of time to sort of get over that and get back onto the ice and continue their season.
Please welcome our next couple.
And now to Miroslava Tkachenko and Ricardo Pesca. And Coach Katarina Muller had explained that in the summer they found out that Miroslava has problems with her back, and they've had to adjust elements and forced to choose lower levels in this free dance to avoid worsening it. But how wonderful that they have coaches that are thinking about injury prevention and maintenance. Miroslava Tkachenko and Ricardo Pesca. As I said in the rhythm dance, they were forced out of competing in Ostrava due to that injury. But great to see them here, and interesting to see a team united now in their Junior Grand Prix participation. This is their first ever Junior Grand Prix, and I think that they will continue to hone their match in their style. I suspect that they both had different skate education stylistically, and so they'll continue to refine and hone their stylistic match over the season ahead.
See, just starting the program, quite emotional and some lovely choreography and lovely feelings, and you could see that through. And interesting enough, Mark, you talked about important to have an equal skating skills.
And that is a factor this season, particularly it's underlined for the skating skills for the judges to denote is based on unison and a oneness, and both individually strong, but you can see there's not yet that oneness in their movement patterns as yet, and you can just see Ricardo just struggling a little bit with the rotation, some check 3 turns coming up in this right forward outside twizzle, and actually a pirouette. So when it's a pirouette or spin on the spot, that's when it will drop levels, and that's why his twizzles come in at a level 2. This choreographic slide movement, and I'm just so appreciative of Miroslava's constant extension of her feet. Really nice ankles and toes. And this in the dance spin, the camel spin feature for Ricardo. And he will continue, I'm sure, to hone that range of flexibility. So often it is the female member of the team who is more comfortable with a more extreme range of flexibility as Katerina joins Miroslava and Ricardo in the kiss and cry.
I'm not sure what you call that, but tongue out with the 2 fingers. But yeah, it's so different from what they just skated. You know, soft and thoughtful and delicate. The real personalities come out in the kiss and cry.
Yeah, and they said to me that they love skating at YAG with the amazing team, and you can sense that fun that the teams all have together, and fun they can show.
So important. Let's take a look at the scores. 70.97 for the free dance. That is third. And their competition score, total competition score, 119.57. And for the moment, that will put them into first place. There is a look at your top 5 teams on the leaderboard so far in the free dance in Gdansk.
And now to the Chinese ice dance couple, Zhengyi Yu and Tianyi Liu. We haven't seen them on the Junior Grand Prix since 2022, and significant improvement showcased in the rhythm dance yesterday. That's exactly what you want, Ted, from the finished position for your partner to turn around to face you with open arms in joy. That's wonderful for Jinyi Yu and Tianyi Yu representing China.
Yeah, big smile. And, you know, off air, we were talking about the difference, or the difficulty perhaps, in the world understanding cultural dance of a country like such as China or Japan or whatever. And I'd love to see more of that. I don't know enough of that. Now, they're having to do music and a concept from a different culture. And so I wondered about that. And I thought, well, would we know? Would we understand if they were doing a real traditional Chinese dance? You know, would we know about it? You know, I don't know. It's an interesting discussion. Let's carry on. We can ask Sarah a little later. Okay.
Yeah. And here the 1 foot turns. And Tianyi just struggling with the twizzle. Now, it's the twizzle that is normally the most guaranteed of the 4 difficult turns in a 1 foot to be called. Fortunately, the technical panel still found one of his other turns to achieve a level 1 for that as we look at the twizzles. And there you can see the check 3, so a drop in the level there for Jinyi on that element. And as we look through, there's the example of the different holds that I referenced for the step sequence. And the turns in the criteria must showcase multi-directional turns. So the skaters will have some edges and some directions that are more comfortable for them, but within the context of the choreography of this step sequence, they need to showcase both clockwise and anti-clockwise rotational turns to satisfy the higher levels. It's interesting as we talk about the music choices where we watch Jinyi and Tianyi work through the rotational lift, because it's something that's very pertinent for the rhythm dance, because this season for Jinyi, Tianyi and all of the dance teams, they had to showcase music from the dance styles from the 1950s, 60s and 70s, and it was a discussion as we looked through the closing phases of this, their free dance, you know, to pick 50s, 60s, 70s music that has street dance styles. But everybody's picking conventional, maybe Americanized choices. You're right, what were the 50s, 60s, 70s dance styles that were performed in the various respective different countries?
I actually asked that last season of one of the dance technical committee members, because I wondered, said, well, what if you're in Germany and you take a piece out of the 70s that no one else knows, but are you going to question whether that's authentic or not? How do you validate that? And so it was a good question, and they did have an answer. Of course, I don't remember it. It was not necessarily specific, but it's a bit of a challenge, because if we are celebrating each one's cultures, then the 70s happened everywhere in the world, not just in North America or in Europe. And so I think that's a bit of the challenge. We want to open this up globally to the cultural, you know, history, if you will, of dance in their country. So, topic for another day. There we go.
The marks.
Let's get away from that right now. 73.42, and that will put this team currently in first place in the free dance with a total competition score 122.16. As they take the lead, I'm pretty happy with that. Not sure about those animals, but and there is a look at your top 5 teams so far.
Oh, I love happy skaters.
Yeah,
They kiss and cry.
Final team in group number 2.
And that row falls to Louise Cohas-Bogey and Daniil Grishin. And we hadn't seen this team on the Junior Grand Prix. In fact, struggled to find any competitive results or stats for them online, but they did showcase quality, finding themselves in this position yesterday in the rhythm dance. Louise Cohas-Bogey and Daniel Grishin from France, the first of 2 French ice dance teams competing here in Gdansk, both trained by Batkova. And I think you can see their teammate Daniel Moaden just between them in the back of shot there, cheering her friends on rigside. Wonderful to see.
Well, we're talking about that rendition of Danse Macabre, which was not completely different, but a little bit different. Not as intense, but interesting.
Yeah, I love this music. I remember seeing Marika Humphreys, a great ice dancer, performing to it, and it has such wonderful nuances to the music, and that will hopefully be something that Louise and Daniel can develop as the season progresses, finding each intonation. Here you can just see a little flex in the free foot from Louise in the position, but safely through. And there, just a little stutter. And for the dancers, we've said before, it's not obvious you see visible mistakes, but that little tiny stumble perhaps indicating the understandable nerves to compete here. Here, stationary lift, and so the feature for Daniel is to have his thighs at least parallel to the ice to get that called by the technical panel.
That actually is in at a level 4, so it must have been called, or no, actually it's to be reviewed. That's not decided yet, so we'll see.
And that might be just that which the tech panel are reviewing here. He's in a difficult spread eagle, and she leaning out forwards or backwards with only one additional point of support between the legs. That's the criteria that they will be going for in regards to the features chosen, and there are so many options for the skaters to choose from to get the high level within the context of the lifts, and great to see different choices used as we see the dance of death being performed in this choreo character step sequence. The intensity to finish, trying to push those components ever higher.
So that stationary lift came in now at a level 3. It went in as a 4. It's down to 3. I don't know if that affected or was affected because of the thigh. It looked a little bit, maybe not parallel, but I don't know. Yeah.
And that's the discretion of the panel, the 3 members of the technical panel, and they all have to come to a decision regarding the levels achieved. And we do see variations in the event as to how strict perhaps a panel may be in assigning the higher levels, but what is consistent is the consistency throughout the event, and so the results are all reflective of that.
So when you're choreographing, Mark, as your do you pick their music too? I know many choreographers do, but you're a busy guy. Do you get to pick the music, or are you working with something that has been presented to you?
And generally, I tend to be, the music is brought to me if ever I'm choreographing for team or single skater, and so I work with whatever is given. If ever there's an occasion when I feel like it's maybe something that I think the judges might struggle to connect to, I'll voice that and vocalize that and just suggest it. But what is wonderful is if the skater is connected passionately to the piece that they're using. And so sometimes, even if I think, I don't know if this is the best thing for you, if you've got a youngster, like a junior skater who's really connects to it, it's not my place to say, the judges might not like it.
Sure enough. Let's take a look at the score. 72.51. That is second in the free dance with a competition score total of 121.89. And that will put Louise and Daniel currently overall into second place at the end of group number 2. And just a reminder, in just a few moments, we're going to be bringing in Sarah Hurtado to the broadcast as a guest commentator, as we've done throughout the Junior Grand Prix Series, and that's always exciting. Have you got all your questions lined up, Mark?
Yes, I'm really looking forward to chatting with Sarah. And Sarah is an Olympian. She was top 5 at the European Championships. She was a senior Grand Prix medalist. And as I think we touched on in the opening warm-up, what I think is perhaps most impressive about that list of accolades is the fact that Sarah comes from a skating nation which had no history of ice dance, and she leads the way and now continues to do so by coaching the next generation of Spanish ice dancers.
We'll talk a little bit about that as we introduce to you Sarah Hurtado. Sarah, can you hear us? And welcome to the broadcast.
Hello everyone. Hola from Madrid. I don't know if you can hear me. I hope you can. Can you?
Yes, we can hear you. We're just going to turn the music down a little bit. There we go. Go ahead, Mark. There she is.
There, and now we can see you as well. Hi, Sarah. How are you today?
Hola from Madrid, everyone. Really good. I'm really honored to be here, honestly. From here, from my home to you. So thank you for having me.
It's wonderful to have you, Sarah. The sound isn't optimal, so hopefully we'll be able to hear you a little bit more as the connection continues. One of the things that I was just telling everybody, which is so amazing about what you have achieved with your glittering career, is the way in which you have taken our sport of ice dance and performed it so brilliantly from a nation that didn't have an ice dance heritage. So I wondered, what were your big influences in your early development days?
Well, my influences, some of them are now there as coaches of these junior teams that we saw, like Tanit Golden, for example. But honestly, I just came across ice dance as a surprise. Basically, just watching Torino Olympics, and for me, it was something that it was so admired on TV until finally there was this big project from the National Federation, and I was lucky enough to be part of that and started everything in Madrid.
And now you continue, your work now is continuing to create a host of new Spanish teams. So I gather that as we're going to look back at some of your wonderful performances, I think this is from the Rest Telecom, in which you achieved that medal. You have facilities now
Yes.
that are world class. From what I can see on Instagram, it looks like the venue that you've now got access to for your coaching is a really brilliant place for which to carve new generation.
Well, it's the same rink where we all started. All the generations of Olympians coming from Spain, we all started in the same rink. So it's like going back home. It's the rink in Majadahonda where Javi Fernandez, Sonia Lafuente, Javi Raya, the Ice Dance Project started there too. So lucky enough, we have that really good relationship with the managers there, and they are taking care of us in all this new school with SK there. And honestly, we cannot be more grateful.
And what now? You know, you achieved so much success yourself, Sarah. What are your goals? Like, what's the motivation for you now in this capacity on the other side of the barrier?
Well, honestly, the main goal is to give the environment for the skaters to enjoy the day-to-day work, because I have a
Hmm.
feeling that sport is such a result orientated activity that sometimes you miss the important part, which is the actual journey. The all
Hmm.
those hours that we spend on the ice, off the ice, home, like we just live, breathe, um, everything's ice dance. So making it enjoyable, making it healthy, making it good for each individual is, I think, is the goal. Of course, result-wise, I would love to go to Olympics with one of my
Hmm.
teammates, but the most important things is for us is the person behind the skating is
Hmm.
happy, healthy, and enjoys what this means.
This is so good to hear, and it's really interesting, Sarah, that you're echoing the sentiments of some of the other guest contributors that we had, and it seems like those that are still involved and still want to be involved in the sport after their competitive days have that holistic approach to knowing it's important about the human, that there's not just an obsession with results and points and scores, but the human, because you must have had so many challenges, because being an elite professional sports person has them, but you must have enjoyed the journey enough to want to stay in the sport and not move out of it.
Yes, absolutely. I think, of course, my journey was not the easiest because of basically what the reality of it coming from
Mm.
zero. But I was lucky enough to have a support system strong enough to help me through all the struggles. And like, thankfully, I was living that, and that's what it lasts. After winning medals or not winning medals, what you have is the people.
Hmm.
That for me, that's the most important thing, the people that stays. after, once that spotlight that you see there, once like on the
Hmm.
other side of the barrier, there is a lot of people and there is a lot of support and energy that they give you. And that's for me is the greatest medal for this.
Mark, Mark, can I jump in for the question?
Yeah, of course.
I was silently, in the background listening. In fact, no, Sarah, I wanted to ask you a little bit about your junior career. I don't know whether you were on the Junior Grand Prix or not. How important was the development in juniors for what you became as a senior, and also what you are as a coach? It's really important, and what that journey was for you in
Yes.
juniors. Yeah.
My God, I was watching the first few groups, and I was like, I can relate so much to those teams because my junior career was like literally Adri and me trying to compete and not be the last ones. Like that was our
Really?
goal. Like let's just try to do like two clean runs and you know,
Wow.
let's try not to be the last. That was our first years. Like we were very aware of our level and our
Mhm.
situation comparing with the other teams. And for us, it was just a learning process and a learning journey. So for me, junior is so important for that to develop your own skating person, like learning
Mhm.
about yourself. How do you manage pressure better? Which kind of music do you like to skate? What it suits you best? How do you feel more confident preparing prior to the competition? Like all these things, even like how to tie your skates to not
Mhm.
have them become undone. So if I can recommend something, is like make as many mistakes in junior, like make all the mistakes. They're gonna be super super valuable for you for the uh, you know what is coming after, and and be there present in every competition because then you never know. Like I ended up skating with the junior world champion of ice dance. you know
Mm.
Yeah.
like make friends, know your teammates, know your colleagues. We are all part of the same world of Iceland, and we all share the same passion. So I think junior is a great moment to take
Sarah,
all that in.
I'm so happy that you said that. And we haven't spoken before. We did not ask her this question before. So please, for the viewers to listen to this, because we always are preaching that. And, quite often in the junior, we see a lot of mistakes, particularly in the early groups, and how important those mistakes are. And they're painful at the moment, and you don't understand them. And you wonder, how do I get past this? And can I actually get better? All those questions come in. Those are the most valuable moments. And thank you for sort of supporting and backing that up, because now we know we're right, Mark. We were doubting you. No, we weren't.
Yes,
So thank
And
you.
you guys
also,
are right.
it's so cool to hear you acknowledge, Sarah, that because I didn't appreciate that. I've only seen more of your senior career and seen all the brilliance that you've offered. To hear you say that some of your goals were just not to come last, that's so inspiring. Then to the skaters that are maybe you're really genuine when you say that, aren't you? To then hear you say that and then
Yes.
know what you went on to achieve, because some of the skaters in the Junior Grand Prix this year who found themselves lower down might have lost hope or lost belief or their potential. That's really, really cool to know that you then obviously must have gone on to work very, very hard, though, to turn it around and become top 5 in Europe.
Yes, like I would suggest them to just be patient, to keep the good work, keep going small steps, little by little, but consistent. I will tell them just be consistent and trust the process. Like you might not see it coming like this from one day to the other,
Mhm.
but then in 4 years' time, you will look back and be like, wait, did I do that? And yes, it's
Mhm.
like it's possible. It's possible. I'm proof of that, and I'm not like I don't have a magic wand that I can be like, this is the secret. No, no. The secret is just to put
Time.
everything you have on each day.
Mm. And how do you feel now, Sarah, for the skaters that have then you recently retired? It's not long since you have stopped competing. I personally think that a lot of the skaters, it's a real tricky transitional period because you're so used to performing and we sometimes take for granted, as the juniors might do because they're young, how lucky it is to go and train every day and to be a little bit kind of selfish about, your sport and your hobby. It's a challenge sometimes to depart the competitive arena. How are you finding the transition now from being the front and center skater on the ice to not training as regularly every day?
Well, how much time do we have for that? It
Amazing.
was it was something. It was something because in a way it made me appreciate everything that I was lucky enough to experience, and then also it made me miss it so much.
Mm-hmm.
For example, last Europeans, watching Paulina and David skate in the arena full of their own
Mm,
people, the music was like super loud. I just wanted to go and skate so bad.
of
I was like, oh
course.
my God, this feels so good. But also myself, I was a skater that I loved the training process. I loved being on the ice and
Mm,
trying all the tricks, trying all the options for new lifts, new steps, new combination of choreographical elements. Like I loved all that process, and I also miss that because
mm,
now coaching is everything is very mental. You're there
mm,
for all your teams, but when you're a skater, you're there physically, and like you're living it in your own skin, and that's the part that you miss most, being present.
Okay, we
mm.
now have group number 3, and fascinating conversation. Thank you so much, Sarah, for all that information. And it's so wonderful to have experienced skaters
Thank
and
you.
coaches now like yourself coming back and helping in the Junior Grand Prix, because these are the future seniors. They are the future Olympic champions and world champions, and many of them will be our future judges and coaches as well. And so this community of juniors is so important to the health and welfare of our sport globally, and we're so thankful that people such as you and many others as well this season have come back to speak with us. So thank you for that as we take a look now at group number 3 on the warm-up. Mark, I'm sure you've got more questions, and I pass it on to Inspector Clouseau. Oh, no, not Clouseau, but Inspector Hanratty. Here we go.
Well, while we've got the wonderful opportunity to chat with you, Sarah, you can perhaps corroborate or share with the listeners and the viewers the anxiety I feel when I'm watching a warm-up, because only too well, maybe less so when you're a senior, but ice dance warm-ups, when everybody's desperately trying to fit in their elements, they're quite scary,
Hmm.
aren't they?
Oh yeah, it's intense. Everyone is going full speed, trying to get as many elements as possible. Well, each team has a different role, let's say, because it's not the same how you warm up if you're skating first or you're skating last of the group. If you're skating first, you try to do as many things at the beginning of the warm up and rest a bit at the end. Or if you're skating last, you try to do all the warm up full because you want to feel your body, you want to feel the ice, you want to feel your partner. So being safe in a warm up is a tight balance, and I think training with many teams helps a lot. If already in training you have other teams that are at your same level, and you have to develop this kind of skill to skate across, like very close to each other, that's something that is really helpful, and you can tell if the team trains alone or it trains with another group of skaters.
You know what, Ted? That explains a lot what you've just explained, Sarah, because for me, when I was competing, we were rarely with other teams, so then we were less exposed to what Sarah's just described as the awareness or the comfort in being so closely surrounded by the others. So that's perhaps justifying why I still have PTSD, I think, when I watch these dance teams and going, oh my God, they're all going to crash and it's going to be scary.
All right.
Yes.
It's interesting. Somebody was asking me today about are there collisions, not in dance, okay? We were watching singles practice. Are there collisions? And I said, well, actually, in pair skating, no, because the elements take a long time to prepare, and they're all aware, and they're very risky. And in single skating, you have a sixth sense. You just know where the people are, and it's fine. But in ice dance, the curves are changing all the time, and there tends to be a little bit more excitement, if you will, on the warm-ups. And that was great for you to bring that up, Sarah and Mark, and talk a little bit about that, because we quite often refer to that.
Yeah, and I think
Yes.
for us, Sarah, I think and correct me if I'm right or wrong because it's long I competed, but generally the ice dancers punch, whether it can't be the case that the judges judge a warm-up. That is not the case. But I think the ice dancers and the ice dance community are really mindful that official practice, and the warm-up can sow seeds and set impressions. And I think that the performance, unlike in the singles, the dancers are very much performing in warm-up from as soon as they get released out the gate.
Oh yes, I totally agree with this. I think that a competition is the whole week, not only the performance moment,
Yes.
because we also have to recognize that the judges see a 3 minute intensive of what you have been working on. So if you make kind of their life easier, like if you prior to that 3 minute show that you are powerful enough to, or you show your basically your program to the highest level, you're already starting the competition, I think, in a much more I don't know, solid position, let me say. But I don't know why this is not the same in the other disciplines, because the human factor is still the same. I don't know why
Yeah.
we are more aware of that.
Yeah, it's so true, and that's why we see the ice dancers, in practice earlier in the week. They will be wearing costumes. They will be for the women, the hair's done, the makeup is on, because the performance is, as you so rightly say, Sarah, is a week long in anticipation.
And here we go on group number 3, the final day of competition, the free dance. After this, following this, we will have the men's free program as well. It's medal day here in Gdansk. As we get started, take it away, Mark.
And this first team to skate in the penultimate group, Aneta Vaclavikova and Ivan Morozov. And we will see Aneta's brother later on. So an anxious day for their parents. But this team showcasing already in the early stages of Junior Grand Prix a quality and a refinement. Aneta Vaclavikova and Ivan Morozov. Just such a quality, refined team. They did explain that Aneta had been unwell, hampering their preparations. Perhaps that the rationale behind the mistake towards the end. But for me, Sarah, I actually think that this team is even more suited to this than their rhythm dance, really showcasing the quality that they do have.
They're so good and so young, 14 years old. Oh my God. I started taking ice dance with 16 years old. So, wow. I think they have a lot to grow. And it's such a pity because it was right at the end of the program. It shows that you cannot really lose concentration until the very, very end when you're sitting down on the kiss and cry. You cannot disconnect from the program. But really good elements, very creative. I think there was an entry of a lead that I really want to see back. And yeah, very talented junior.
And their coach, Katarina Muller, who's with them here, had explained that they are very ambitious and they want to reach out to the top level skaters. And they do train with so many great skaters, but you can see that influence. You can, knowing that they train with the likes of Mrazka Mrazek and the Tashlers, you can see some of that influence in the way that they move now.
Yes, for sure. The training environment makes a huge difference. I think it's one of the things that I missed when I was a junior skater. We were training alone, and we felt like we didn't have any sparring, to do run-throughs with us, and just a general energy that is in the warm-up room, in the dressing room. Of if you have someone that is super professional next to you, it kind of it's sticky, without
it rubs off.
Without paying attention to it. Yeah, absolutely.
I like that twist. And with Annette, what a shame. Ugh.
One of those.
Man. Exactly, just one of those.
One of those
and
moments.
Making fun of it at least.
One of those moments, Sarah, that you actually need
she
to
did it
have.
with style.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we predict big things from this team in the not too distant future.
Let's take a look at the free dance scores. For Aneta and Ivan, season's best, 82 points. That is first in the free dance with a total competition score of 133.16 as they take over the lead. First team out in group number 3. There is a look at your top 5 teams so far.
Team Canada definitely out in force in the audience to cheer on Summer Homick and Nicholas Buelow. And talking about teams and training mates and environments, Summer and Nicholas explain how fortunate they feel to have coaches who are pushing them and excited for their future together. So gratitude to Mitch and David Islam and Kelly Johnson and James Callan. Canada's Summer Homick and Nicholas Buelow, and it is hard to comprehend that Summer has made the transition from pair skating to ice dance so recently, and I think that this free dance perhaps showcased that freedom more so than the rhythm dance, more suited to a skater transitioning from free skating to dance. And you've done that, Sarah. You've been a single skater and then a dancer, and there are definite differences.
Oh wow, yes, it's like a different world. Absolutely. Suddenly having a person so close to you is like fun, but like annoying, but like fun.
Yes.
And it's something that you have to get used to. Yes. And for me, the hardest thing was spinning, actually. Spins are the hardest. So I guess for Summer, coming from pairs, that she already had that kind of spinning together feeling. But for sure, ice dance has many peculiar things, like these basic holds, like foxtrot, or like, all these things, knee action, all the performance factor, you have to tell a story. So it's a different world, but a very, how can I describe it? A very interesting and creative world.
And maybe that the rationale behind this beautiful piece of music by the band Sleeping at Last, the track title Turning Page, and it just seemed like Summer and Nicholas just so comfortable with it. And look at the great connection in the stationary lift there. Actually, they're already connecting well, and that, like you say, Sarah, perhaps a testament to the fact that she's been in a partnership, different discipline, been in a partnership, but I thought they connected really well.
Yes. And she's used to be up in the air, all this. Maybe the whistles could have been the weirdest element for her to catch on, but I guess she didn't have any problem. They were even very close to the end of the program, which I was, I clapped for that. Putting the whistles at the end, you must be very confident.
Yeah, brave. But it's interesting you mention it, because Summer did have a little bubble in the twizzles in the rhythm bands, and so great that not only they were successful today, but especially at the end of the program when you're more exhausted.
Yeah.
Amazing how many athletes, we talked about this a little earlier, Sarah, are using that zone right in front of the judges. It's so effective. Of course, you've got the choreographic steps coming away from or towards the judges, but it's beautiful in a way. It's great for the camera. I mean, we get great shots. I wonder how the judges feel sitting right there.
Yeah.
A little awkward, perhaps. Well, 84.69, that's a good score for Summer and Nicholas with a 135.86 total competition score. A little fist pump there. All three. Let's go. There it is. And that puts them currently into first place. Great job. That is wonderfully done for this team. Welcome to the world of ice dance. Summer.
Please welcome our next couple, representing the United States of America, Pedersen and Starr.
And now we look ahead to the performers from Yali Pedersen and Benjamin Starr. Brand new team. Today actually marks the 5-month anniversary of them deciding to team up. Had some mistakes in the rhythm dance. Will be very clean skate in their free dance. Jelle Pedersen and Benjamin Starr celebrate their 5-month partnership and making through the free dance without any visible mistakes. And although it's obviously such a new pairing, I feel the connection between the two is really sound. And Jelle competed, I think, in the Junior Grand Prix final last season with their former partner, but there seems a synonymity between these two. And look at you, they're echoing my sentiment as they share an embrace middle of the ring.
Yes, I would say the same. 5 months. Wow. Congratulations to both of them.
And I love the musicality of this at the beginning of the program, Sarah. The staccato sound just punctuating the movement. It was good music choice, and then echoed again in the straight line lift later on.
Yes, yes. Sometimes less is more, you know, like I think our goal as ice dancers is to make the music visible, right? To make it into movements, you know. The music has nuances, and we should be able to replicate those nuances in our choreography. So sometimes we think that doing as many things as possible will generate a stronger effect, but I find quite often that is the opposite, you know, less but clear. Like, what is the music telling me? Is it telling me to go crazy? No, it's just like staccato. Let's just do that.
And have breath. Yeah, the power of
Yeah.
breath and less being more. As we see the choreo character step here. A good showcasing of multi-directional movement, really showcasing their comfort rotating both directions, or apparent comfort, because we all know, Sarah, everybody likes to rotate one direction more comfortably than the other.
Oh, yes. Yeah. If you're not busy at the end of the program, there's something going on.
And as they shake parts in the kiss and cry, shout out to Tanith White, who's joining them here in Gdansk, and the pairing. You know, shout out to the coaches as well, because Tanith and husband Charlie are playing tag team with their families as they support their students across Europe.
Let's take a look at the free dance scores for Jelle and Benjamin. The 82.30, that is second in the free dance. We're not by all three on that. 133.71, that'll put Jelle and Benjamin currently overall into second place. They're the third team out in group number 2, 2 more to come.
They are currently in second place.
And now to the twins from Germany, Ineke Kobor and her brother Zohar Kobor. And fascinating story that Ineke was literally hit by a truck riding her bike to training 5 weeks ago. She broke her foot, but apparently the surgeon said it was the perfect type of break, and they've been tapering her return to be able to compete here. Eniko Kobor and Zoard Kobor from Germany. And Sarah, you were just explaining off air there that, like Eniko, you broke your foot before your first Junior Grand Prix as well. So you have some great empathy, I'm sure, for what Eniko's going through.
Oh my God, yes, it's an experience that I don't wish on anybody. And I remember getting back on the ice 3-4 days before the Madrid Grand Prix. Actually, it was Junior Grand Prix in Madrid, so we were super excited that that was going to happen. And during summer training, I broke my ankle in Andorra. I remember, like the second day of summer training. And so
nightmare.
we really wanted to be there in Madrid and skate, but we were only able to do compulsory dances because my ankle was so weak I could not stand on my own. It was literally sustaining me on home the whole time.
Wow.
Because I couldn't do all the elements on one foot. Luckily, we recovered for Cape Town and for the other Grand Prix and competitions, but yeah, I have my utmost respect for this girl and the freedom that they displayed.
Yeah, amazing. Love this too, the choreo slide and now the choreo character step and some difficult and quite unique movement choices from the choreography from Coach Robin Tweedale. And we were discussing as well for Eniko and Zawad, the music choice for the sibling pairing, so important for all the teams, I suppose. And Coach Robin, who joins them in the Kiss and Cry, had explained how different they are, and she'd actually said that Zoard is a total maths and IT nerd, and that was her choice of words. And I said, oh, it seems a bit harsh to call them that. And she said, well, she too is a complete maths and IT nerd too, with a degree in that field. So apparently coach and skater nerd out together and enjoy sharing some very logical left brain stuff, as I'm sure perhaps Eniko is the more creative one of the team.
Well, that's a great balance, having a creative activity and a mind for numbers. Probably they are very specific with the training, and they're very up to the numbers of the levels and the juries and like I have one of those in my team. Asaf Kasimov is also very intelligent. The coaching is different.
Let's take a look at the free program score. Free dance score 74.86. That is fourth in the free dance. Total competition score 126.44. That'll put Nico and Zard in fourth place overall for the moment. One more team to come in this group. And then we will move on to the final group in the dance event. Medals will be fought for and points as well for the Junior Grand Prix final. Here we go, Mark.
Also from Germany, Lydia
And
Schubert, Nikita
another team,
Remeshevskiy.
back-to-back performances by German ice dance teams, this turn for Lilia Schubert and Nikita Remeshevskiy. Ned explained that she had a concussion, forcing them out of the earlier Junior Grand Prix assignment in Ostrava. Good to see them here now.
I put a spell on you. Cause you're mine. You better stop the things you do. I ain't lying. No, I'm lying. You know I can't stand it. You running around, no better thing. I can't stand it, 'cause you put me down. Oh, I put a spell on you now. Because you're
Lilia Schubert and Nikita Remeshevskiy from Germany, a team that are able to exploit the opportunity for some different age criteria in juniors this year, with Lilia now 19 and Nikita 21, and a great opportunity for them to amass some more international experience before they make the move to senior competition. And I think, Sarah, that they certainly have a senior vibe about this pairing.
Yes, our music choice is a lot. I have to say that I have a soft spot for music, and you need how can I say? You need much more for to perform this. You know the way that we're pushing all the new characters and rules that we can like going on the floor, on the choreo steps, and I think you need that extra experience to be able to perform that and do it well. And I think this team was able to do that. I think they're gonna be ready to do the step to senior for sure.
And it is a big jump, and I think when we see Lilia and Nikita working through some of the elements in their free dance here, it's a leap from juniors to seniors that is unquantifiable for some. We talk about in the single skating that there's difference in the tech content, but it's hard as we see that brilliant aspect in their choreo character step to define the difference between the juniors and the seniors. But a lot of it is obviously technique of skating skill, but so much maturity needs to be gained as a junior before going on up to the senior category.
Oh yes, and the long program gets longer. I mean, senior free dance, oof. Yes. I wish we had the same energy levels of the 17 years old when you're doing a 4-minute test in your ice dance program. When you're like, oh my God, how can I get to the end without looking tired,
Yeah, that's another thing, Ted. I'm always talking about how exhausting the run-through is, and Sarah, thank you for confirming how exhausting it truly is.
Mark, that's a really good point. You should talk a little bit that with Sarah about youthful energy versus when you're like in juniors, when you're a senior. How does that impact? Of course, the degree of difficulty increases as well, but that's a very good point when you mentioned that, Sarah. I thought, oh yeah, that's true. And we see that in the singles as well. These guys just don't stop. They run their programs, no problem. You don't see that as much in seniors. So interesting topic.
Yes, it's a big difference, and you have to prepare different for it. In junior, it's not a big gap from rhythm dance to free dance. Like it's nearly the same kind of minutes.
Yeah.
But in senior, it's way more elements. So you have to play with the number of elements in a much more smart way, I would say. And of course, you feel it. That I have to say.
There is the score, 82.48 for the free dance, 136.50, and Lilia and Nikita will take the lead going into the final group, final warm-up for the final 5 teams. Find themselves in first place. We'll see how far that will take them as we welcome group number 4 onto the ice for the warm-up. Mark?
And Sarah, I'm so glad that you're just referencing the exhaustion, because I think for those viewers that are listening in or tuning in who haven't done run-throughs, I don't know about you, but I was good athlete insofar as we would do whatever the coach asked of us, but even still, even despite the fact that we would do the run-throughs every day, the term run-through made me go, oh gosh. I'm glad that you feel the same.
Yes, I mean, part of it is mental, I believe, but we know that a run-through is not the physical part only. Is that how can I say? Is that looking for perfection kind of thing that makes you feel the pressure in it? Like you repeat to improve, right? So every repetition, there is an expectation that it's going to be better than the previous one. And I think it's fighting with that expectation that it makes it really hard in the head, in your brain to process, because you want to improve yesterday's or the last competition, and it just gets really intense. By the end of the season, it's like, wow, this program is so much in my muscle memory, but at the same time, I want to make it so much bigger. There is so many things to improve that you feel like the perfection is, you're never going to reach perfection.
Yeah. And for you, how often, because we've referenced the number of times that an athlete, either in singles, pairs, or ice dance, would perform their run-throughs in a week of training. For you, what would you be satisfied with? How many run-throughs would you do? A run-through every day? Would you do rhythm dance and free dance every day, or would you alternate?
Me personally, with Kirill, we were alternating. We were doing rhythm one, full run-throughs. Then of the free dance, we will do a run with maybe missing one element. So nearly both run-throughs every day, but we would prefer to focus on one each day, which it kind of replicates more the
Competition, I suppose.
how competition works. Yes, but it depends. I think it's something very personal. Some teams feel better with doing amount that with the amount of repetitions. Some of them feel better with like quality, or you have to know yourself to prepare yourself for your best version. I don't think the same formula works for everyone.
Oh, that's brilliant to hear. That's really good to hear. And I mean, I shouldn't say I'm too vocal about, for me, what was the arduous part of the physicality of a run through. But then there are some athletes, and my partner was one of them, who seem to just get to the end of the run through and, be absolutely fine. So that obviously for some, it's more of a challenge than for
Right.
others. Let's put it that way.
Yes, that's for sure. And it's like what do you have for breakfast to endure the run through like that easily? Yeah, like I don't know this, but of course not all of us have the same physical skills, or that's why you have to know yourself and do what is best for you as a team, because maybe even inside a team, maybe one of the partners gets on with the run through better, like your case. So you have to know that you have to give the best for each of them to feel good, not only one. You have to kind of compensate either also for your partner if it's having a harder time with the run through, or it goes both ways. And I think understanding that the preparation is for both of you as a team, it that will bring you better chances to feel prepared for competition. There are competitions you never know what's going to happen, but at least and being also very vocal about it with your coaches and with your teammates. Look, I think I need more repetitions because I don't feel confident enough, or like I think I need to repeat less this element because I'm getting obsessed with it.
Yes.
I think the sharing part is also important. Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting point, Sarah, as well, because we don't talk necessarily enough about the psychology of a partnership and the dynamic of a partnership, and that's such a challenge sometimes for the coaches to do, is to be mindful of making sure both parts of the partnership individually feel confident and positive and supported, and then equally that then the dynamic is good as a whole as well.
Oh yeah, you have to become a great listener and be there for both, and also understand how they perform better at competitions. Like it's a science. It's a whole science. Now I'm understanding it from the other side of the world, and I just feel grateful for the coaches that I have.
Yeah. Well, here we go on the final group here. Medals will be battled for and presented shortly after the event, or later tonight, actually. As we start with team number one, Mark.
And you can see in the backup shot there the Polish flag, and Sofia Dovhal just checking perhaps some of the crystals during warm-up left on the ice. She ensuring that the ice surface is perfectly safe for she and her partner Viktor Kulesza as they assume their start position. Well, I think some of the best choreo-assisted jumps that we see from Sofia Dovhal and Viktor Kulesza, and that transitional entry, the difficult entry, the Group C feature into the twizzles is, I remember being impressed by it in Riga, Sarah, and seeing it again, it still blows my mind, and I could hear your reaction to that difficulty for that element.
Yes, it was really good, really interesting. I thought it was gonna be like some choreographical element coming up, and then the twists are up, and I was like, whoa, great, amazing.
Me too.
Even the first lead, watching it coming from Madison and Zachary doing it, I think now the extra second allowance that we have on ice dance made all these teams more brave, and you feel a bit more sure to execute this kind of lifts, and I think it's a great step forward for all the athletes to perform and push for all new difficult elements that with the 12 seconds is not enough,
Yeah,
So I'm really happy to
and
see
it's
that.
so good by the Ice Dance Technical Committee to be listening to the coaches and the skaters as we look at this straight line lift.
So good.
And Victor does calisthenics, so he's used to supporting his own body weight, so that's part of the reason they can access and tap into the strength that he possesses. As we see, some of the content that Sofia and Victor use is so difficult comparative to others.
Yeah, having that physical awareness is so important for ice dance, and I think for men particularly, because when you're lifting your partner, you have to be super aware what is your center, what is your partner's center, how you managing the weight and your base on your skates to be solid and be able to not lose speed. Here's the entry mark. It's so good.
It's crazy.
Like, wow. Yes, and then
how they came up with that. And
with a
it's
lot
a shame, Sarah,
of hours
because
of training, I'm sure.
oh, I bet. And it has the potential to give them a really good grade of execution. And we're talking about it, Ted, as well, that because it's later in the program and it's so complex, there are mistakes then made subsequently. So unfortunately, it's a negative GOE. The team could choose to do a much easier transitional entry, but I applaud them for continuing to stick to the bravery in the pursuit of something special.
Oh, their personal best is
Yeah, me too.
Their personal best is 91.82, season's best 72.32. They'll beat that with this program. That was outstanding here at home. Season's best 80.27 is fifth in the free dance. The 136.53, but that puts them in first. Wow, fifth in the free dance and first overall at the moment, with three more teams to come that are within 1 point
so
of each
close.
other. Yeah, so close.
Oh my God.
Whoa, that is mega close.
Wow.
Amerykanina reprezentantów Francji. Please welcome our next couple from France, Dania Mouadon.
And now to Dania Mouadon and Theo Bigot. So impressed to see them earlier cheering on their teammates Louise and Daniel earlier in the competition. Now it is their turn as they skate to Believer.
First things first, I'ma say all the words inside my head. I'm fired up and tired of the way that things have been, the way that things have been, Second things second, don't you tell me what you think that I can be. I'm the one at the sail, I'm the master of my sea, the master of my sea, Spoken from a young age, making my spoken to the masses, writing my poems for the few that looked at me, talked to me, should be feeling me, saving my body from the pain, taking my message from the veins, speaking my lesson from the brain, seeing my beauty through the. Make me
And I think we would all agree that Dania Mouaden and Theo Bigot, if you put money in anybody for excelling in the sport of ice dance at Olympic level over the next sort of 2 decades when they're age eligible, I think they would be hot favorites. They're so talented and so well trained.
The quality of the skating, the speed, everything, I think wow. If they're able to keep themselves healthy and keep building on their team, teamwork, team spirit, wow, I think they have all the cards to play a really good game. And they're not even tired at the end of the program.
I don't know where this program will take them, but I do know in the future they will travel very far in juniors and in seniors. It's quite extraordinary when you see something so special.
The speed of these trizzles.
Quite close to each other, like keeping good distance, smooth exits. I think all the elements were on pluses. I don't think I saw even a blink on their skating.
No.
Yeah.
And interesting to see, they're both so competent. They're both, they both bring their own energy to it. They're both uniquely energetic. They're matched in their style and their technique, but they bring something different. And perhaps that's what's making us also impressed by the potential of them.
Yeah, they're quite balanced. I cannot say that I was watching more at one of them. I saw them together as one piece, and that's something that in junior is really hard to get, because to connect at such young ages, sometimes you don't feel like it. You're very young kids trying to connect with a person, and you're like, what? How? So I think they have it, and I wish they will be able to keep it and grow on it.
And I think they've been competing now, despite the fact they're just 14 and 15, they've been competing for multiple seasons from basic novice on upwards, and Barbara Piton has been by their side for the whole time.
Personal best was 86.86, but they have a 90.98 season best for this season, 153.19. That'll put Dania and Theo currently into third place. 3 teams to come. Will it be enough to climb onto the podium? We'll find out. Starting right now, the final 3 teams: Italy, Canada, and the United States.
Please welcome our next couple from Italy.
And now to the Italian team of Laura Finelli and Massimiliano Bucciarelli, a team who had some struggles in Ostrava with elements not being called. They've worked hard on that and hoping for a free dance that maintains the bronze medal position.
C'est une histoire qui a pour lieu Paris la belle en Dieu 482 Histoire d'amour et de désir Pour les siècles à venir Il est venu le temps des cathédrales Le monde est entré Dans un nouveau millénaire, l'homme a voulu monter vers les étoiles, écrire son histoire dans le verbe ou dans la prière. Les poètes et les troubadours ont chanté des chansons d'amour qui promettaient aux gens humains de meilleurs demain. Il est foutu le temps des cathédrales, la foule des barbares est prévue pour l'ennemi.
Il ne sait le pays d'où je viens. Je suis fille de grands chemins. C'est écrit dans les lignes de même pas de l'espagne, comme si c'était son prix. Et les brigands dans les montagnes d'Andalousie, dans les montagnes d'Andalousie. Je n'ai plus d'hiver ni mer, j'ai fait le Paris mon pays. Et quand j'imaginais la mer, il ne sait le pays d'où je viens.
Well, a team that teamed up just 6 months ago, Lara Finelli and Massimiliano Bucciarelli, and they were understandably frustrated that some elements didn't get called in their first Junior Grand Prix and levels not to what they were hoping and aspiring for, but it's looking to be much, much stronger this time.
Let's hope so, Mark. I have a feeling
Yes.
that if the Grand Prix is your first competition of the season, it's so hard because you're actually testing your programs at the same time as you're competing in the circuit of Grand Prix. So that's
Yeah.
why the summer training is super important, and having some feedback from technical controllers, specialists, judges is super important, because in Europe we are unlucky. We don't have that many summer competitions, and I find it really hard to prepare as junior teams, because you're literally starting your season with your Grand Prix.
Yeah, it's true, because even though Europe's got lots of events later in the season, it's Canada and America that have more opportunities with the likes of the Lake Placid ice dance event. You're so right, Sarah, as we look at the straight line lift from Lara and Massimiliano.
Well, boo-hoo, because I think no, I think you have many more competitions in Europe than we do in North America from an international perspective. So you're going, anyways. Had to step in there.
No, yes.
You're still right.
In numbers, for sure. It's more of a calendar.
Yeah,
issue, I
yeah,
think,
yeah.
that because
The
also,
timing.
if you're lucky enough that you're part of the federation that does all the summer tests,
Hey, come
that's
on,
great. But
on.
some federations don't do that.
come on over to Lake Placid. That'll help out.
Oh yeah, I've been there, people. Yeah, we will. Let's hope so.
So it's interesting for Lara and Massimiliano because they've got their own, if they're just looking at their own scores, it's going to be a huge improvement on Ostrava. But now, how's the dynamic? Because they find themselves in a bronze medal position, so then that adds a different layer of expectation and hope for the scores.
This is ever so close. We don't know what is going to transpire here. The scores are still coming in, but it is, wow, we're just going to have to wait and see what numbers come up. But it's tight. Just know it's tight. It's a good score for them, as you said, Mark. Let's take a look. 88.85. That's a season's best, but it's second in the free dance. And is it enough to stay ahead? 152.52? No, that is second. Wow. Close.
I think that's fair, but I can understand the disappointment.
Yeah. 153.19, 152.52. Ever so close.
192, the Canadian team, who are actually just 0.3 of a point ahead of the Italians after the rhythm dance. It's Gauthier and Quentin Thieren. Well, the Robin Hood free dance, brilliantly skated, brilliant music edit for Sandrine Gauthier and Quentin Thieren, and I so appreciate the effort of the music to really punctuate the movement and the choreo character step for a team that have had some challenges this season already, but I love that Sandrine took to social media after Riga and she said, Riga, I've learned a lot from you. I'm sure that has been the fuel for the training leading up to this event, Sarah, as they come back looking much stronger.
Yes, you can tell already the teams that this is their second event. The expectation is different, and already the experience of the previous one it makes you skate with a different kind of energy and confidence. You know, you gather all the information, all the learnings that you got in the first Grand Prix, and you know, when you don't have a first good Grand Prix, it's tough to go into the second. And even when they're very short in time, you don't have a lot of time to think. You just have to go back home, dig deeper, and prepare the progress for the next event. I think this freelance was very good, very balanced. Like, it was telling a story clearly, and those music accents were a little spark in the choreographic step sequence. I really enjoyed it. I love their lines and their expressions. You know, throwing an arrow on the ice is not easy to make it look cool, you know?
Yeah. And actually, this team, they've had great success on the Junior Grand Prix previously, but this season is harder for them insofar as Sandrine had been injured. I think they'd had a concussion which affected their summer month preparation, so now we're getting to see the fruits of more training time away from the injury, but also benefiting from all the time they've amassed together over the past few seasons, and they look so seasoned and senior.
Well, let's take a look at the scores for their free dance. 96.79.
Wow.
That is huge. Season's best by a mile, and they are thrilled. 160.75. They take the lead, and they might close the gap between them and the Americans. We'll find out. Of course, they are next. And they have guaranteed themselves, Sandrine and Quentin, at least a silver medal here in Gdansk, and probably a trip to France in the Junior Grand Prix final. Here we go, Mark.
And now to Katrina Wolfkostin. She's a kinesiology major at the University of Michigan. Dmitry Tsarevski is writing a novel. So obviously, very well-rounded individuals, an incredibly strong ice dance team.
One day I'll fly
Katerina Wolfkostin and Dmitry Tsarevski. Great to see the reaction, because I think that they would have been disappointed in Ostrava with the performances there, and you can see the relief now and the biggest smile that I've seen from them after 4 performances this season on the Junior Grand Prix.
I have to say it was a very strong free dance. In my head,
Yeah.
I cannot stop thinking about Tessen's body when I hear the music. I was lucky enough to leave that program at Levy and Llorente, and I was crying my heart out. So
I can imagine.
It's one of those music that, wow, it makes you relive it again. But they did a really, really good job in every single element. The one hook was huge. Like, this team is really, really strong. They could be senior tomorrow. I have to say.
Yeah, and actually this team choosing to compete Junior Grand Prix, I think largely like the Canadians, Gauthier and Thieren, because the depth of the field in Canada and America is just so strong, and how wonderful then for them to have the opportunity to compete on the Junior Grand Prix and get the success for their nation that this brilliant skating deserves.
Yeah, truly. Even though, Mark, I have to admit that I think rhythm dance this season is way harder for juniors than seniors. With the 2 sequence of paso, 1 in reverse, the key points are super hard to perform.
Yeah,
in
really
the
interesting.
timing that they have. Like, you know, that paso, wow. For juniors, it's tough.
Second pass no with the change of
Well,
Yeah.
their personal best is a 1:03, and their season's best 88. They'll beat that 88 by a lot. How close will they come to the personal best? It's going to be enough for the title here, I believe, as we wait for the scores. And there they are, season's best 101.03 for Katerina and Dmitry. They take the title here, and they move on to Grenoble with a 166.88.
There is no deduction there, so the thing that we saw on the ice, maybe they didn't see it.
Yeah. Could have been something from the roof. Who knows? There is the final standings, the top 5 teams in this event. That was exciting. There was some great skating. We talked about that, Mark, that this was a very unpredictable event. Other than the Americans, we thought that they were favorites coming in, but we didn't know what was to happen behind, and that was obviously excellent competition, very close.
Yeah, brilliant stuff, and great to see the Madsen and Bigot, the 14 and 15-year-olds, sharing the podium with their older competitors.
And Sarah, I want to thank you as we close out the coverage of the dance event. Thank you so much for your expertise and your passion and all that you've done for skating, not only in your own country but around the world. And we really thank you for taking the time to join us here in Gdansk.
Thank you so much, Ted. I really appreciate this and your words and your kindness, everything that you do for the sport also. Thank you.
That concludes our coverage here in Gdansk of the free dance. Up next, the final event here in week number 5, the men's free program. You will not want to miss that. For all of us here at the ISU, for Sarah Hurtado and Mark Hanratty, I'm Ted Barton. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. The men's coming right up.